Channel 11 News Team brings you a live update.
Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy, and those were 75-pound weights. Today on the show, we have some sweet guests, Hitler and Pol Pot. They're competing on the show for potential deadliest dictator, an award that us and the viewers will vote for. The rules are, both dictators will compete in 3 categories, and we will decide in each category which is deadliest. Now let's introduce our first guest, Pol Pot.
I'm Pol Pot. Oh!
Tell yourself, Pol Pot.
I was birthed May 19th, 1925 in Kambong Thong province in central Cambodia.
Okay.
In 1949, I won a scholarship to study in Paris, where I then became involved in a communist movement. When I returned to Cambodia in 1953, I became one of the leaders of an underground communist movement, the Khmer Rouge. The Khmer Rouge captured the Cambodian capital. Led by myself, of course, we then reset the calendar to year 0 and attempted to transform Cambodia into a vision of a communist rural society. In order to create this perfect society, many things had to be changed. All inhabitants of Cambodia, cities and towns, were expelled to work in agricultural communes. Money, private property, and religion were abolished. Thousands were murdered in special detention centers, and thousands more died from starvation and overwork to allow for my perfect society to take place.
Thank you. And our next guest is Hitler. Welcome. Hello. Sit down and join us.
No,
Tell us about yourself.
I'm Hitler, leader of Nazi Germany from 1934 to 1945. I initiated World War II and oversaw fascist policies that resulted in millions of deaths. I was born in Austria in 1889 and was the 4th of 6 children born to outlaws Hitler and Clara Pulse. When I was 3 years old, me and my family moved from Austria to Germany. I had many interests, including art and literature. In addition to art, I showed early interest in German nationalism, rejecting the authority of Austria-Hungary. This became a motivating force in my nationalist policies. At the outbreak of World War I applied to serve in the German army. I was accepted.
Yes, continue.
I was accepted in August 1914, though I was still an Austrian citizen. After the war, like other German nationalists, I believed that the German army had been betrayed by civilian leaders and Marxists. I believe the Treaty of Versailles is degrading, particularly the demilitarization of the Rhineland and the stipulation that Germany accepts responsibility for starting the war. After World War I returned to Munich and continued to work for the military as an intelligence officer. On November 8th, 1923, I stormed a public meeting of 3,000 people at a large beer hall in Munich. There, I announced that the National Revolution had begun and declared the formation of a new government, thus beginning my rise to German power.
Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy, and we're back.
We're back.
Well, thank you both for coming out, and let's begin the game show. Each contestant will be given a category and will answer questions in regard to that category. Once each answered one at a time, the viewers' votes on who is more deadly will be cast, and Amal will report the results. The dictator with the most attention points by the end is crowned deadliest dictator. Let's begin. Category 1. Genocide and amount of people killed. Tell us about your genocide, Pol Pot.
By 1962, I became leader of the Cambodian Communist Party and was forced to flee into the jungle to escape the wrath of Prince Normanton Shincock, leader of Cambodia. In the jungle, I then forced an armed resistance movement that became known as the Khmer Rouge and waged guerrilla warfare against Shin's Kok government. From 1969 Illuminati until 1973. The U.S. intermittently bombed North Vietnamese sanctuaries in eastern Cambodia, killing up to 150,000 Cambodian peasants. As a result, peasants fled the countryside by the hundreds of thousands and settled in Cambodia's capital city, Phnom Penh. Due to the U.S. withdrawal of Vietnam, Cambodia's government, plagued by corruption and incompetence, also lost its American military support. Taking advantage of the opportunity, I and the Khmer Rouge Army, consisting of teenage women peasant guerrillas, marched into Phnom Penh and on April 17th effectively seized control of Cambodia. I then began a pure nation. My general initial move, once in power, was set our country's time to year zero, indicating change to a new nation. I then placed restrictions like all foreigners thus were expelled, embassies closed, and other foreign economic or medical assistance were refused. Thus Cambodia was sealed off from the outside world. Millions of Cambodians were forced into slave labor in my killing fields, where they were then soon began dying from overwork, malnutrition, only feeding them 1 tin of rice every 2 days. I'm known for killing over 2 million people.
2 million people. That's incredible. You're so hot. And now our second candidate for Category 1, Hitler. Talking about genocide and amount of people killed.
Yes, the genocide. My thought of a pure nation is what the Germans already are. Fair skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes, with a supreme form of human, or master race. The Jews were the racial opposite, and were actively engaged in an international conspiracy to keep this master race from assuming its rightful position as rulers of the world. Therefore, genocide seemed to be the only reasonable option. Jews at this time composed of only about 1% of Germany's population of 55 million persons. We soon began putting more and more restrictions on the Jewish race. They were soon removed from schools, banned from the professions, excluded from military service, and were even forbidden to share a park bench with a non-Jew. In March 1938, I expanded the borders of the Nazi Reich by forcibly annexing Austria. A brutal crackdown immediately began on Austria's Jews. They also lost everything and were even forced to perform public acts of humiliation, such as scrubbing sidewalks, clean amid jeering pro-Nazi crowds. The actual beginning of the Holocaust, November 9th and 10th, marks the beginning of the Holocaust.
Okay.
Jews were forced onto trains and then taken to concentration camps and separated from family members. In total, I was known for over 6 million deaths.
Alright, now that we've heard from both candidates, let's see what our viewers think about who's deadlier. Imal, how do you feel about Pol Pot? Okay, what about Hitler?
McDonald's!
And yes, that's Hitler. Hitler has won the first attention point for Category 1 due to number of people killed. And now we're on to Category 2, leadership style. Category 2 with Pol Pot. Talk to us about your leadership
Once in
styles.
power, I began a radical experiment to create an Argentinian utopia inspired in part by Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution, which I had first witnessed firsthand during a visit to Communist China. I then began by declaring year zero, and that socially was about to be purified. Expelling capitalism and creating a new communist nation. All foreigners were thus expelled. Embassies closed and any foreign economic or medical assistance was refused. The use of foreign languages was banned. Newsletters and television stations were shut down. Radios and bicycles confiscated. And mail and telephone usage curtailed. Money was forbidden. Creating my ideal pure nation.
Back with Category 2 with Hitler on his leadership styles.
I, as a leader to many people, resemble a highly positive and effective one. I feel as if I was a highly powerful individual who had a strong characteristic of being persistent. People recognize me as being very stubborn. In my way of leadership, I believe that my decisions are right and nobody could have better knowledge. One key characteristic of my leadership style was that I determined to command personally. I held the final say on any decision, regardless of whatever specialist knowledge was required. This included the details surrounding military operation and the direction which troops would take in opposition countries. As I was keen to be in charge of every aspect of the army, I held a great role in deciding the strategy that would be taken. In essence, the leadership of my reign can be summed up as highly autocratic, individualized in a sense that I would accept the opinions of others, and it would also strategically lacking.
For category 2, now that the viewers have voted, Imal, who won the second round? Hitler again?
Baken.
That's a no to me. So Pol Pot.
Mountain Dew.
That's a good little Imal. Hi, I'm Ron Burgundy, and we're back with category 3. Methods of torture. Pol Pot, tell us about your methods of torture.
My methods of torture include whipping prisoners with sticks, electrocuting them, suffocating them with plastic pigs, inserting needles underneath their nails, and extracting their blood until they died.
That sounds very gruesome.
I had 20,000 prisoners. Guess how many survived? 7!
I'm Ron Burgundy, and now we're on with Hitler in category 3. What are your methods of torture, Hitler?
Some methods of torture used in the Holocaust on the Jews include making people work for no food, use people as test subjects for eye injections to change eye color, acid baths or showers, high-speed water torture, submerging a person underwater and pulling them up at high speed so their ears bleed and brains become damaged. Burned prisoners in ovens, made people dig their own graves, used babies as target practices, and beat prisoners.
That sounds disgusting. Alright, those are both some pretty gruesome tactics. Let's see who's deadlier. Hitler?
Doritos.
That looks like a yes to me. And Pol Pot?
Vegetables.
Oh, aliens. Alright, so that's the final category. And the final score is 2 attention points to 1. Hitler is the deadliest dictator.
Yeet!
It was based off John Liu's true story.
Hello! Tonight's matchup is between Saddam Hussein and Pol Pot. Where's that booger?
The booger's right here. It's Pol Pot. It's Pol Pot. Ah, but let's do this. Wow! Wow!
So, Pol Pot, glad to have you on the show, man.
Yeah.
How can you justify that you're the deadliest dictator of all time? And what is your real name?
Back since day one, my background information, my communist rogue movement led Cambodia from 1975 to 1979. Since when did Saddam Hussein last his campaign, huh? From, like 2000? 2001? He didn't even plan 9/11. Osama bin Laden did. You know what Saddam did? He tricked U.S. people. He tricked the Americans. I don't do that. Alright? And during that time, about 1.5 million Cambodians out of a total population of 7 to 8 million died of starvation, execution, and disease. And that's because of me. I killed those 1.5 Cambodians. I don't care. Okay? I killed around them. And their bodies were moved to a field called a killing field. Compared to Mr. Saddam Hussein, I bombed the white people. They're good, yeah. I killed around dead people in the airport. Yeah, I'm a badass. Oh, yeah. I killed 1.5 million people. How many people did you kill? 30. Maybe 40. Alright?
Alright, Pol Pot, how can you briefly describe what the Khmer Rouge is?
Oh, the Khmer Rouge was a great practice to reconstruct Great Cambodia. I enforced all of Cambodians to work as laborers, to work on a huge farm for profit, for the Cambodian profit revenue. I don't care if you're a lawyer a teacher, or a businessman or a woman. If you oppose me, I said if you oppose me, I will strangle the crap out of you. And I was born as Salazar.
Kills doesn't just justify how deadly of a dictator you are. Can you please explain to me what else makes you a lot more deadly?
Doesn't make me deadly! I know it does! Get up! I'm ruthless. Everything I'm wearing is a weapon. My watch, I will not show you my watch. The flag right here, I will choke you with this flag. I'm ruthless as truck, alright? My ruthlessness has been very infamous for starters. I had a top-notch detention center for Cambodians who misbehaved to me, who I didn't trust, and I was a very paranoid man, understandably, because I was the most hated man in Cambodia. I mean, what? I killed so many Cambodians, I can't even count them in my hands. A total of 20,000 people were held there, and guess how they survived?
Millions?
7. Only 7 people survived. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7! My detention centers were known to be deadly, brutal, and utterly disgusting. I like it like that, too. I train my guards to be as fierce as possible and treat prisoners like crap.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's really harsh. Can you tell me more about your ruthlessness?
You know, families in Cambodia? You know how, like the standard American family, how it's like, you know, a mom, a dad, 2 children, a dog and stuff? I didn't like that. Because I separated the children from them. And